Hello, beautiful light beings. Shannon O'Flaherty here. I want to talk to you about narcissistic abuse or narcissistic relationships. It seems to be a very trendy subject at the moment that everybody and their brother has had a narcissistic relationship. Oh, this is dinging again. Okay, I'm going to just deal with the dinging for a second there. Okay, let's try that. So your partner, when you get with your partner initially, you fall in love. Let's say the partner is a male. You fall in love with your guy. He's probably really good looking. He's funny. He's smart. He's generous. He's quite capable. He probably has some level of status. He loves you. You have a really good time together. And you're pretty happy. And you think, yeah, I've found him. I found him. He's the one. He's the one. Yes, I know. I'm talking about narcissistic relationships. You're thinking, hold on a minute. Yeah, he's all of those things as long as everything is going his way. And then little by little, hi Rose, little by little by little, subtly, things you say start becoming personal attacks on him, or he takes it that way. Things you say get twisted around and thrown back at you, so you find yourself arguing about, well, you don't even know what you're arguing about because you can't understand how the argument happened in the first place. You start to feel insecure and concerned, and then the criticism starts. Little things. It's subtle. These narcissists really stealthy. And after a while, you're so worn down that you start to question your own sanity, and you think, is this me? When all the time before in your life you've never had this experience, and you think, what on earth is going on? And so then you figure it out. You start seeing articles about it, you read it, you start to talk to people, and you realize, okay, wow, narcissism, cool, interesting subject. And then it's very easy because you can blame your partner, you can throw all of that on your partner. However, okay, so I'm going to tell you, forgive yourself, forgive your partner, get out of the situation, because a narcissist is not going to heal. He's not going to change. Things are not going to be different. You're going to pendulum back and forth for a long time until you can no longer take anymore. So just make the choice now that unless he is really willing to go to therapy and deal with specifically that, probably your situation is not going to change. I personally couldn't stay in a relationship like that. But what you really need to do is ask yourself, why did you attract that relationship in the first place? Because if we take 100% responsibility for ourselves, which is the whole point of being a fully aligned, self-actualized, functioning, happy person, then we have to take 100% responsibility for everything and everyone that we attract in our lives. Because the whole point about manifesting is that we call everything to us. I know one of those sayings that I put on the group site is that every choice, everything is a reflection of the choices you make. So if you want a different experience, make a different choice. Well, this is what it comes down to. And if you think about a narcissist, they're very stealthy because it's a secret to themselves. They don't know that they're doing these things because it's a secret. They are, on the one hand, charming and wonderful in every way, but there's a little missing link. So if you just leave their stuff with them, just leave it with them. Don't torture yourself any longer. And turn that around and look at yourself and ask, well, what is the missing link with me? I needed to do this, and I started to think about my parents, which is always a good place to start because that's where we learn to be who we are from our parents, from the things they told us and from the things they didn't tell us, from the behaviors they modeled to us and from the behaviors they didn't model to us. And so my parents were funny, and both of them larger than life. My mom has already passed, and my daddy, he's awesome. He's 83, and he's just published a book. He's really cool. I love my daddy to bits, and he's funny. He's a really funny guy. And I know he loves me immensely and deeply. But my dad used humor in his life and with us as kids growing up, which made it very fun. And in my dad's kind of funny, sarcastic way, he would often say, children should be seen and not heard. Now, even as a young child, I knew that my dad was being funny and being sarcastic. However, he didn't just say that once. It was said over and over again during my childhood. And so subconsciously, that little girl was getting that message that I should be seen and not heard, not taken seriously. And not just from that, but other events that happened in my life supported that belief system. And so not being important was how it manifested in me. And it's been a core issue. It's been a core issue my whole life. I remember before I went to study transactional analysis, I might have said this in one of the other videos too, I had this long, wild hippie hair. And I didn't think that anybody would take me seriously with long, wild hippie hair, as though your hair makes any difference in the world whatsoever, but that's where I was at the time. And so I dramatically cut off my trademark hair into this really severe kind of crew cut. It was, I mean, I could rock it at the time, you know, I was 37, but still, it was motivated out of fear of not being taken seriously. So that should have been a really big wake-up call for me right then, but it wasn't. And so because that message was that I'm not important enough, I'm never going to be good enough to do it on my own, I would always search for a partner who could support me, who could take care of me in that. And friends, all my friends, everybody, I'm not a loner in life. I'm not a loner, and lots of people, I depend on my friends to help me through. I have great conversations with people, but it's been really, really interesting in terms of relationship. And then finally, when I realized that unless I take 100% responsibility for myself, I'm never going to be happy and fully aligned and be able to have everything that I desire. So the narcissistic relationship was completely a gift because, and it will be for you too, because it pulls you so far off of your balance. It just like pulls you back and back and back and back at your own expense till you think you're going crazy. And then when you're finally brave enough to jump out of it, you get propelled, catapulted back into your truth, into your center, into who you really are. And it's like a big relief, a big breath of air, like, wow, okay, gosh, probably not going to do that again. And then you start to do the deep soul work and have lots of realizations about what's truly going on for yourself. So the narcissistic abuse, my question to you would be, why did you allow yourself to be put in that situation, even though you didn't consciously choose that. Nobody would, but us humans have a tendency to learn through trauma and drama, and from the worst relationships usually come the most expansion. So forget about focusing on all of the past drama and turn that around and forgive yourself for putting yourself there, and forgive the person because that person is just being the only way that they know how. That's all there is to it. And they've modeled that from their childhood. They picked up on something. They're living out their own kind of manifestation of what they need to experience in that world. And if we could all just learn to leave everybody else's stuff with the other person, then we wouldn't be in this place of struggle and judgment and blame and throwing everything back onto each other. We would just own our own stuff and be able to move in alignment with grace and fluidity towards our goals and where we want to go. So that's maybe not the answer you were hoping for about narcissistic abuse, but there's no point in focusing on all of that. If you're being abused in any way, it's time to get out of that. If you're not getting out of an abusive relationship, you really got to ask yourself, why? Are you not the most important person in your world? You need to be. So if you're new to the group, it would be really great if you would write in and ask me what you'd like to hear me address, because I've discussed a lot of subjects and I'd really like to answer your questions and serve this group in the best way that I possibly can. And if you'd like to work with me and find out what these deeper reasons are that would put you in these crazy situations, we don't do any of this consciously. Gosh, that really would be insane. we do this because so that we can be in a dramatic situation until we learn the lessons that we need to learn. And then when we do learn the lesson, it's really fantastic and it's great celebration time. So the more contrast, the more expansion. So it's really only a time to celebrate. So private message me. Let's see if we can work together and find out what's making you tick the way you are. Okay, love you all. See you in the next video.